Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so very much for your patience. I'd like to now ask you to take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome the Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, representing Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. She's escorted by Mrs. Shulette Cox, President of JAMPRO. We also welcome Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, or Minister of Business. Please remain standing for the playing of the National Anthem of Jamaica. Please be seated. Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, representing Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Trade, Industry, Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Economic Development and Investment, St. Kitts and Nevis, Senator the Honorable Michael Halkitis, Minister of Economic Affairs of the Bahamas, the Honorable Xavier Main, Minister of State, Ministry of Finance and Public Service, Her Excellency Eria Ascola, Head of Delegation, European Union Delegation to Jamaica, Belize and the Bahamas, other members of the Diplomatic Corps, Mrs. Sancia Bennett Templar, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Dr. Wendell Samuel, Senior Economic Advisor and Acting Assistant Secretary General, Economic Integration, Innovation and Development, representing Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM Secretariat. Other members of the board, Dr. Damie Sinanan, Executive Director, Caribbean Export Development Agency, Mrs. Shulette Cox, President, Jamaica Promotions Corporation or JAMPRO. We'd like to also acknowledge partner organizations, Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, JAMPRO, European Union, CARICOM Secretariat. We'd also like to acknowledge our platinum sponsors, Republic Bank, IDB, the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority, our gold sponsors, CIBC and UNIDO. We'd like to acknowledge Digicel, who is powering us with internet for the next 2 days. Other silver and bronze sponsors, speakers, moderators, investors, entrepreneurs, founders, innovators, the Safe Planning Committee, and friends of the media all. Good evening. Have you guys had coffee? Show of hands if you had coffee. Show of hands if you had tea. Show of hands if you've had a red stripe bear. Appleton rum. We're going to do this again. And I'm going to put it into perspective for us. We are all here representing our individual countries, our identities, and we all understand how unique and powerful our countries are. But when we understand that together so much more can be done, we understand that there are opportunities to collaborate and to connect and to be sustainable as a region, it gives us a lot to be excited about. Are you not excited? And then when you think of the Caribbean export and what their platform is and how they're using SIF as the platform, a premier platform to make sure that the right people are in the right place at the right time to galvanize this region, are you not excited? And then when you think about it, because now this stage is in Jamaica, the land of wood and water, the country that is known for the fastest men and women in the world, the land of Bob Marley, reggae, dancehall, roots rock, and reggae, jerk chicken, jerk pork, coconut water, red stripe. Are you not excited? Let me try this again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. No, I was just testing. I was just getting you ready. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Caribbean Investment Forum 2025. Yes. Thank you. I'm saying, and the beauty about SIF and the beauty about this platform and the beauty about this forum is its diversity. When I looked at where all of you are coming from, sure, we have Jamaicans here, but we have people coming from every single continent except for Antarctica. So in order for me to really honor you, permit me to say, buenas noches y bienvenido a Jamaica. Bonsoir et bienvenue à Jamaïque. Qui janouye naboule naboule. Qui janouye naboule. Bom dia, bem-vindo a Jamaica. Goedenavond. Look at this. Boy, I hope I cover all the languages that I prepared, you know. Goedenavond and welcome a Jamaica. Good evening, wagwan, and welcome to Jamaica. Now, I do not want to put my foot in my mouth, but is there any language that I might have missed out? Say no. Bom dia, bem-vindo a Jamaica. Did somebody just say Mandarin? Finnish. Tervetuloa. Ha! Anybody else? What? Which one? French Creole. Bonsoir. Bonsoir. B-O-N-S-W-A. Any other language? Guten Nacht. And I'm going to hope that that covers our very beautiful and diverse attendee list. For those of you who do not know me, I am Terry Carell. It is a pleasure to serve you in the capacity of host over the next 2 days. Now, my beloved Prime Minister would have loved to have been here, so much so he would have given his left kidney to have been here. Now, he wasn't able to make it because he has been busy. His schedule has been hectic, and of course, he has a lot of responsibilities, especially at this time. But because even though he wasn't able to make it, he simply could not have SIF 2025 taking place here without sending you this personal message. I invite you to kindly turn your attention to the screens.
Welcome to the 4th staging of the Caribbean Investment Forum, the Caribbean's premier investment event. This year, the government of Jamaica is proud to host it in collaboration with the Caribbean Export Development Agency in vibrant Montego Bay, Jamaica's second city and our tourism capital. I really wanted to join you in person, however, national responsibilities supervened. Nevertheless, I extend to all our regional leaders, global investors, development partners and innovators a warm and heartfelt Jamaican welcome. We are honored to host you on behalf of a united Caribbean. This forum is more than a fixture on the investment calendar. It is a bold declaration of our collective intent to present the Caribbean not as isolated island economies, but as a globally competitive and sustainable investment space at the crossroads of the Americas. With nearly 500 stakeholders convened, this year's theme, Smart, Green, Connected, captures the essence of our transformation. The Caribbean of the future is one that leverages technology to drive productivity, harnesses clean energy to power growth, strengthens infrastructure to enhance competitiveness, and modernizes agriculture to ensure food security. These are the foundational pillars of a resilient and inclusive economy. So as you engage in business-focused dialogue over the next few days, I also encourage you to take time to experience the soul of Jamaica, sample our world-renowned cuisine, enjoy our rich music and cultural heritage, and feel the warmth of our people. Jamaica is more than a venue, it is an invitation to connect with a country that embodies the very spirit of creativity, resilience, and enterprise. I thank the Caribbean Export Development Agency, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, and JAMPRO for their tireless efforts in bringing this forum to life. I wish all participants productive engagements and lasting partnerships as together we chart a bold and prosperous future for the Caribbean. Thank you and welcome once again.
We thank the Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, for his kind words reminding us how important our theme is. Smart, green, connected. And I think what is extremely important about why we're gathered here is simply because we know, especially when people think about the Caribbean, they think about the sea, the sun, the sand, the fun, it's tourism, it's eco-tourism. But what we really want to prove through trade and this unified and collective approach is that we are global competitors and that we should be taken seriously when it comes to business and investment. So we thank our Prime Minister, even though he wasn't here, he sent his personal information or his address. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Dami Sinanam, who has been working tirelessly to ensure that SIF 2025 continues to grow. He's the Executive Director of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, and we welcome him to deliver the opening and the welcome remarks. Please make him welcome.
All right, good night, everyone. Unfortunately, I only speak one language, so you're going to have to put up with English. So, Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, representing Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Senator, the Honorable Auburn Hill, Minister of Investment, Industry and Commerce. The Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Trade, Industry, Commerce and Consumer Affairs, St. Kitts and Nevis. Senator, the Honorable Michael Halkitis, Minister of Economic Affairs of the Bahamas. The Honorable Xavier Main, Minister of State, Ministry of Finance and Public Service. Her Excellency, Erja Ascola, Head of Delegation, European Union to Jamaica, Belize and Bahamas, and other members of the Diplomatic Corps. Mrs. Sancia Bennett-Templer, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Dr. Wendell Samuel, Senior Economic Advisor and Acting Assistant Secretary General, Economic Integration, Innovation and Development, representing Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM. Mrs. Shulette Cox, President, Jamaica Productions Corporation, or JAMPRO. other government officials, developmental partners, sponsors, other specially invited guests, staff of Caribbean Export Development Agency, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Deep breath. It is certainly an honor and a privilege to extend a warm welcome to all of you at this, the fourth iteration of the Caribbean Investment Forum. We are absolutely thrilled to be here in Montego Bay, Jamaica, for what has grown into the premier investment facilitation event held in the Caribbean region. I am particularly grateful to His Excellency, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Minister Aubin Hill, and the government of Jamaica, including Ms. Shulette Cox, who is also our board member, by the way, and her excellent team at JAMPRO for their enthusiastic support and strategic partnership in bringing this flagship initiative to Jamaica under the theme, Smart, Green, Connected, Accelerating Investment and Driving Innovation. I would first like to acknowledge the European Union, represented by Ambassador Ascola, for their steadfast and decades-long partnership in support of the region's private sector. I am proud to note that we are now in the second year of implementing the Regional Private Sector Development Program under the EU's Global Gateway Initiative. This program, which commenced in 2024 with a 4-year timeline, focuses very heavily on business, export development, and investment attraction. I am sure you will hear more about this program from Ambassador Ascola shortly. I would also like to acknowledge our partners, CARICOM, as well as our sponsors, with special members for our platinum sponsors, Republic Bank Limited, who has really been with us since the start of Caribbean Investment Forum, the Inter-American Development Bank, which is a new partner, and the Jamaican Special Economic Zone Authority. Thank you for continuing to believe in and investing in the transformative vision that Caribbean Investment Forum brings to the Caribbean region. Today, more than ever, we realize the importance of events like Caribbean Investment Forum. The Caribbean region absolutely needs to put our best foot forward and seek our own fortunes, because it is evident that the global environment is being reshaped by multiple forces, making trade and investment unpredictable and uncertain. And for all the private sector persons in the room, if it's one thing that will make any private sector or business owner nervous, it's uncertainty. Because if you can't plan for something, if you don't anticipate something, it heavily impacts your business. We have to look at factors such as geopolitical reconfigurations, with rising tensions, protectionist policies. I propose that we have a little pot, and anytime someone during these 2 days of the conference mentions the T word, everybody puts $1 into that pot and we donate it to charity at the end of the conference. We might probably be able to really make an impact, because I'm sure we're going to hear that T word a whole lot over the next 2 days. We have to look at digital acceleration. Factors such as e-commerce, blockchain, and AI are really transforming how buyers and sellers, investors and countries are connecting. Technology has really changed the terms of trade and presents new opportunities for small countries like the Caribbean region. We also have to look at what's happening in climate. We see a lot of natural disasters that's happening in the Caribbean region. Knock on wood, Caribbean Investment Forum was not impacted this year. But just last year, Hurricane Beryl, the earliest Category 5 hurricane on record, ravaged the Caribbean region, including right here in Jamaica. For small economies like ours, these shifts pose both risk, but also it poses opportunities. The private sector, especially our MSMEs, must be supported to adapt and scale in the face of these challenges. And these reasons really affirm the clarity of Caribbean Export Development Agency's mandate. For the past 30 years, Caribbean Export has worked in close partnership with businesses, governments, and development actors to really strengthen the productive sectors, improve export competitiveness, attract investment, and drive regional integration. Our work is grounded in the belief that by investing in our businesses, we invest in our people, and we invest in the future of the Caribbean region. And this year, we reached a significant milestone with the launch of our strategic plan 2025 to 2028. In the process of implementing our strategic plan, we have really achieved some good transformative results, which was reflected in our 2024 annual results report, which was launched in April this year. The name of the game is impact, and from job creation to business expansion, the results tell a compelling story. Caribbean Export is currently implementing 6 economic development programs with a total value of $20 million targeted towards the advancement of Caribbean businesses. And in 2024 alone, we supported close to 1,000 businesses, over 10 major interventions, and we continue to grow and reach our audience, which is you, the private sector, with a follower base of over 66,000 across the Caribbean region. And our flagship intervention is this, the Caribbean Investment Forum, which is the reason we are all gathered here today. The CIF really exemplifies this mission. Since its inception in 2022, the CIF has been about turning vision into opportunity, delivering concrete investment deals, and connecting innovators to investors and forging strong private-public partnerships. Each edition has built from the last, and the CIF has only grown from strength to strength. From Trinidad and Tobago in 2022 to the Bahamas in 2023 and Guyana in 2024, CIF has evolved into the Caribbean's premier investment facilitation platform. Together, we have welcomed over 1,500 delegates, connecting with investors from more than 50 countries and showcased close to 60 bankable projects with a capital investment of over $350 million. It represents and symbolizes a remarkable shift in our collective approach to securing vital investments required for the economic development and diversification of our cherished region. It has been said many times before, and it's worth repeating. The Caribbean region, I think Terry mentioned it earlier, is more than just about sun, sea, and sand. And trust me, I understand the irony of saying that while we are all here in beautiful Montego Bay, but the Caribbean is also ripe for investment and investment opportunities across the various sectors. And this forum provides the platform to enable various public-private stakeholders to meet and advance the cause. CIF is focused on 4 investment pillars: the green economy transition, digital transformation and innovation, sustainable agriculture and food security, and logistics and transport. Each of these 4 sectors present a strategic and transformational impact for the Caribbean region, for ensuring that we are climate resilient, that we are digital and innovative, that we are connected and we can reach our neighbors within the region and out of the region, and also that we are food secure and food sustainable so we can feed our population without having to rely on imports of food services. Over the next few days, we will showcase investment-ready projects across these 4 areas. The Caribbean Investment Forum therefore provides an invaluable opportunity for private sector stakeholders to maximize their potential in developing the essential relationships that can revolutionize the Caribbean. It is a platform where business and foreign investors engage directly, fostering an environment of mutual benefit. Underpinning this is our broader plan to deepen trade and investment relations, encouraging the flow of economic activity between our regional and international partners. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the core of the rationale for a Caribbean Investment Forum, because we know such a transformation as espoused in those key investment pillars will not only bolster our resilience, but also create jobs and opportunities for many in the region. Over the next 2 days, we have a packed agenda that we have carefully curated. You will be treated to thought leadership in the plenary sessions, as well as hear from aspiring entrepreneurs as they present their project presentations and opportunities for investment within the investment village, which cumulatively totals over $80 million in bankable projects. Delegates can also network in the Business Opportunity Center on days 2 and 3, And on day 3, we will culminate with an exciting business pitch competition where the entrepreneurs have already been engaged from this morning in an investment readiness session. As I conclude, let us continue to engage, invest, and collaborate, unlocking the immense potential for the Caribbean region. Thank you for being part of this incredible journey, and let us move forward with a clear sense of purpose, unity, and unwavering resolve to achieve our shared vision. Together, we will build a bold Caribbean that stands as a beacon of hope, opportunity, and progress for all. And we will build a Caribbean that is... Absolutely. I'm glad we all agree with the mission. So I wish everyone a successful Caribbean Investment Forum, and I thank you very much.
Can we have another round of applause for Dr. Sinanan? Fearless leader. I was just listening to him speak, and it's something that my grandmother had always taught me growing up, that you have to expect the unexpected. And the harsh reality is that we have to constantly anticipate what might happen around us because we're at the mercy of everything that happens around us. I'm not going to mention the T word, but we know that there are politics and policies and wars and unrest and everything that impacts us. And so what I heard Dr. Sinanan really charge is that we invest in ourselves, we invest in our own, that we will help to empower and enable our societies and our communities. And certainly I believe that we can do it. There's nothing stopping us. And with that said, I'd like to invite you to kindly turn your attention to the screen so that we learn more about Caribbean export.
Business is an exercise in resilience and innovation, and the Caribbean region's future looks brighter than ever. It's time for medium, small, and micro enterprises to discover their fullest potential, and Caribbean Export is here to ramp up its support. We empower companies to innovate and adapt in this high-risk and competitive environment by delivering cutting-edge, high-impact, and targeted initiatives to enhance trade and promote growth. Working with MSMEs in 15 Caribbean countries to increase exports, attract investment, and create jobs. We've provided support to over 9,015 stakeholders, including providing technical assistance, business coaching, grant funding, and mentorship. You can access specialized export programs, trade intelligence, and information on financing from our Knowledge Hub. We work with you to get results. Increase sales, build and develop new products and services, export and expand into new markets, establish global networks and partnerships, transition businesses to the green economy and boost emerging sectors, drive regional integration to build resilience and sustainability in the Caribbean, and create more jobs and opportunities. Visit our website at carib-export.com and find out how you can be a part of building a resilient and transformative private sector in the Caribbean region.
Can we hear it for the Caribbean Export Development Agency? Because I tell you something, there are people who you give solutions to and they will find a problem. And then you have people who you will give a problem to and they will find solutions. And based on what we just saw a while ago, it seems as if you are about finding solutions. Talent is not the issue when it comes to the Caribbean. It's an issue of access. How do we package? How do we promote? How do we exchange this knowledge? How do we get funds? How do we get investment? How do we find new markets? I'm happy to introduce Shulette Cox, President of JAMPRO, who is one of our event partners, who is in the business of helping people do business, how to package, how to promote, and how to access markets. Could you kindly put your hands together as we welcome her to the stage?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Let me recognize Honorable Minister Favour Williams, Minister of Finance and Public Service, representing Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Jamaica's Business Ministry. The Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Trade, Industry, Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Economic Development and Investment. That's a whole lot of work in the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. Senator the Honorable Michael Halkitis, Minister of Economic Affairs of the Bahamas. Her Excellency Erha Ascola, Head of Delegation, European Union Delegation to Jamaica, Belize, and the Bahamas. Other distinguished members of the Diplomatic Corps based here in Jamaica. Dr. Wendell Samuel, Senior Economic Advisor and Acting Assistant Secretary General, Economic Integration, Innovation and Development, representing Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM Secretariat. My partner in crime, Dr. Dami Sinanan, Executive Director, Caribbean Export Development Agencies. Members of my JAMPRO board, representatives of government agencies and development partners, sponsors, investors, private sector representatives, entrepreneurs, media, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to Jamaica and to Montego Bay. It is with immense pride and pleasure, and I'm sure Dami will agree, a little bit of relief, that I welcome you to the Caribbean Investment Forum 2025 on behalf of the government of Jamaica. For the very first time, CIF is being held on Jamaican soil, and here in our beautiful second city of Montego Bay, a place where business and beauty intersect. As a country, we are thrilled to host this dynamic event, which has brought together global and regional leaders, industry shapers, investors, innovators, businesses, and policymakers as we further open the door to investing in the Caribbean. We are confident that the days ahead will be filled with meaningful engagement, collaboration, and progress. As our esteemed Prime Minister said, CIF 2025 is not just another event on the calendar, but it represents continuity of the trajectory towards a smarter, greener, and more connected Caribbean. And so this year's theme has been perfected and scripted by a Caribbean Export Development Agency, with whom JAMPRO and our parent ministry, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, is proud to partner for this year's execution. The forum is a strategic gathering, a space where ideas can be transformed into action and partnerships into prosperity. We recognize as a region that the stakes are getting higher, and Dami spoke to a lot of that, the climate changes. As the global economy is shifting rapidly towards digital transformation, the need for climate resilience, clean energy, and more inclusive and sustainable models of growth in logistics, transport, agriculture, technology, tourism, and energy. And within this context, the Caribbean cannot afford to be spectators. We must be leaders. We must be bold. We must be proactive. And importantly, we must be unified in how we attract investments, build industries, and secure the future of our region. As Jamaica welcomes you to this event, let me take this occasion to reaffirm that Jamaica is open for business. But more than that, Jamaica is ready for mutually beneficial partnerships. At JAMPRO, Jamaica's premier export and investment promotion agency, our core mission is to attract investments that ensures export growth, builds local industries, drives sustainable growth, and transform the lives of our people. That is why regional integration is at the heart of CIF, reinforcing that as a Caribbean region, we cannot do this in isolation, for we are stronger when we act together, pool our resources, align our strategies, and speak with a single voice to the global investment community. The very fact that we're able to host this event is a testament to that collaboration, as it brings together almost 500 delegates from across the region and beyond, investors, policymakers, entrepreneurs, and partners, all with a single shared goal of essentially contributing to a Caribbean-focused investment strategy. Over the next 3 days, our collective energy will focus on 4 strategic sectors that are not only ripe with opportunity, but which are fundamental and essential to our collective future and represent the sectors that are engines for inclusive growth for the Caribbean region. For us to capitalize on these opportunities, we need to pursue targeted, intentional, and a focused approach to directing investments into these core sectors. And Dami spoke to the deliberate and intentional curation of the next 2 days to do just that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the partnerships which have brought this event to fruition are representative of a more expansive partnership network between public and private sector, development partners, thought leaders, sector specialists, and every single one of us here. Our collective task is to unearth and explore the investment opportunities that drives the region's growth. We want you to connect with ideas, people, and possibilities. We want you to invest not just in projects, but in partnerships which will create meaningful change and impact. And we want you to do business boldly, ethically, and sustainably. In closing, JAMPRO once again thanks the leadership and the team at Caribbean Exports for the vision of deepening the dialogue and pursuing the actions required to motivate investing in the region. As your partners here in Jamaica, we look forward to the successes which will emanate from the forum. We wish to also recognize our government partners, our parent ministry, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, our sister agencies, the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority, the Development Bank of Jamaica, Heart Trust, NSTA, the Urban Development Corporation, the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority, the Jamaica Bauxite and Mining Company Limited, and the Agro Invest Corporation, who are not just supporting this event, but who teach us every day that in Jamaica there is a thing called joined-up government. To all the investors, entrepreneurs, and innovators here with us, thank you for believing in the potential of the Caribbean. Your presence signals confidence in our region, and we're excited to have the opportunity to affirm that your confidence is well placed. Again, a warm welcome to Jamaica and to CIF 2025, and I wish for you a productive and successful next few days. Thank you.
another round of applause for President Cox, who, just like Dr. Sinanan, is always speaking about the power of being export ready. What Mrs. Shulette Cox does not understand or realize just yet is that that beautiful dress that she's wearing is about to be exported to my market. Thank you so very much for your powerful words. You're laughing. And the only reason why I'm not taking the shoes is because her feet are too small. While I listened to her, her charge, because whenever she speaks, she's always championing and she's always charging. And she kind of just said, you know, we need to stop the foolishness. We need to be, and I'm paraphrasing, creators, not just consumers, participants, not spectators, builders, not bystanders. We need to be integrated, not isolated. We need to be ideators and not idlers. No one is going to save us if we don't do it for ourselves. And I want to thank you for also reminding us that in this room we have people who have questions, ideas, projects, business, services, products, and there are people who have access in terms of funds, network, and answers. So we ask that you capitalize on that. Now, Mrs. Cox also mentioned that partnership is also very, very important. And when we speak about the European Union, the Caribbean Export Development Agency speaks about them really buying into the potential and the beauty and the industries of the Caribbean. And so if you want to learn a little bit more about the European Union, I ask you to kindly turn your attention to the screens.
Idea is now to unlock investments, European investments in Latin America and the Caribbean for key technologies and key sectors for the green and energy transition and the digital transition in Jamaica, but also support the government of Jamaica and the society of Jamaica in attracting those investments, supporting the Jamaican government to have a strong renewable energy mix in the coming years. I think it requires investment and technology. We would like to bring that. We would like to support European companies that come and produce and distribute renewable energy here. We are preparing some possibilities for European companies to invest more in those frontier transition technologies here in Jamaica.
We are working with Jamaica on a bi-regional effort, the EU Latin American and Caribbean Digital Alliance, where we're trying to bring a bilateral framework and design some of the future ideas on artificial intelligence, on connectivity, on e-governance, on data protection, and very importantly, on cybersecurity.
We have Digital Jamaica, which is provided by the European Union. And so as we move forward, we cannot move forward without your partnerships.
Jamaica looks prettier for Kingston to be known as the green climate port.
Now that you're into a strong strategic rehashing of the port, it is important, I think, for Jamaica that you do it to where the world is going and not from where the world is coming. To unlock the capacity of the port to produce and distribute energy, green energy. If you really want the port to become the logistics hub you want it to become, the European Union is ready with the EIB and with its member states to support you in this endeavor. So.
The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce that I lead will work with you, the European Union, to make sure the plans that we're looking at come to fruition. Thank you so much.
We recognize the European Union as a lifetime partner in the delivery of CIF. In fact, the EU funds a lot of the Caribbean Exports technical programs. At this time, I'd like to welcome Her Excellency Ambassador Askala so that she can bring her remarks. Tervetuloa in Finnish. Please welcome her.
Good evening. Protocols have been observed, but let me nevertheless recognize the presence of Honorable Minister of Finance, Fievel Williams, representing the Prime Minister, and Senator, the Honorable Minister of Industry, Investments and Commerce, Owen Hill. Let me also recognize the presence of and the work that Dr. Dami Sinahan has been doing as Executive Director of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, and of course Mrs. Shulette Cox, Director of Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO. Distinguished ministers, members of parliament, representatives of the private sector, media and partner organizations, esteemed participants and friends of the Caribbean. I feel truly privileged, honored, and humbled, I have to say humbled, to be speaking at this beautiful event along with such distinguished speakers and to such a distinguished audience. Allow me to start by expressing my sincere appreciation to the Government of Jamaica and JAMPRO for hosting the Caribbean Investment Forum this year. And I want to thank specifically Minister Owen Hill, who played an instrumental role in bringing this event to Jamaica this year. I've seen the concept of this forum evolve over the years, and it's been in the skillful hands of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, CEDA. I want to thank Dr. Dami Sinanan again wholeheartedly for the great partnership that we have had over the years. It's been productive, it's been effective, and it's been very pleasant. And I'm pleased to see that this event, this forum, has become a truly strategic platform for those who are seeking to do business in this beautiful region. We need platforms like this. In the Caribbean, the European Union is mostly known as a development partner. But let me highlight that the European Union is also a strong trade and investment partner. And we see trade and investments as the most powerful engines for sustainable development. And this is my main message today. And I'm happy to see that there are many representatives of European companies that could attend, either from their capitals or from their locations in the region. Many European companies are leaders in some of the strategic areas of investments in the Caribbean. I'm talking about tourism and hospitality, transport and logistics, renewable energy, digitalization, food and beverages. In the EU, we believe in true partnerships, and this is why, despite the challenging political times we are experiencing in the world, we reaffirm our commitment to the Caribbean region. Our strategy here is very clear. We want to help build an investable, resilient, and sustainable Caribbean. This is not only lip service. We have interesting initiatives and collaborations going on for this purpose. Further to seeing the European Union as a source of foreign direct investment, I want you to look at the EU also as an interesting export destination and a source of supplies. Our trade and investment partnership is firmly rooted in a rules-based trade deal called EU CARIFORUM Economic Partnership Agreement. It covers trading goods, trade in services, investments, intellectual property rights, sustainable development, and many other areas. For goods, the EU remains the most open market for Caribbean goods and exports. There are no tariffs, no quotas on any goods made in this region to the extent that they come from the Caribbean EPA partner countries. And this is a significant partnership that will continue in these terms. It will not be unilaterally changed. The duty-free, quota-free export opportunity also means that if you invest in productive facilities, production facilities, for instance here in Jamaica, you can export the products manufactured or processed here to anywhere in the European Union. Duty-free, quota-free, as I mentioned. And we are not talking about a small market. We are talking about 27 countries. We are talking about 450 million consumers. So this is significant. As an example, I would like to mention that last year in 2024, in Jamaica, the EU was the second destination for Jamaican products and Jamaican exports, second only to the United States. In the wider Caribbean region, the EU is also ranked as number two trading partner. Under our trade partnership, you can also, it's not only about exporting, you can also buy from Europe many high-quality inputs and goods that will help you and that can help you improve your productivity and competitiveness. I'm talking about machinery, equipment, fertilizers, chemicals, vehicles, and I'm talking about pharmaceuticals and many other products and goods. Most of these goods can be exported into Jamaica at reduced tariff rates or no tariffs at all. So please consider the European Union as a relevant trading partner as well, not only partner in sustainable development. And we are not just opening markets. We are also mobilizing the EU's Global Gateway Strategy and initiative to address many other areas that matter to investors and traders, such as accelerating digital transformation, green transition, energy reforms, bringing down electricity cost, and reducing the dependence on fossil fuels, climate smart infrastructure and transport logistics. And we're also supporting MSMEs, innovation and skills development. And we are working on trade and investment facilitations. All these areas are key for the overall business and investment environment in the Caribbean, and the cost of doing business and the competitiveness. In a nutshell, the Global Gateway is the EU's offer to utilize development finance, private capital, and European expertise to boost investments that are transformative, innovative, and sustainable. So we use EU's finance to de-risk, as a de-risking instrument for projects that advance key public policy objectives such as inclusive and sustainable growth. I could go on for hours to discuss our specific initiatives in this area, but time is limited and I know that you have plenty of other things to do. So we'll stay here with you throughout the event, and the Head of Cooperation, David Mogollon, who is also with us today, remains available to provide any further information that any of you might require on any of our development programs and private sector development initiatives. Let me just wish you all a very delightful and productive event, and I hope that will result in many effective collaborations that will prove to be also profitable in the future. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Could we hear it one more time for Her Excellency, who took us to school, at least some of us. I think what was worth mentioning, and I'm actually very grateful that she said it. Could you kindly put up your hands if it's the first time you're attending SIF? If it's your... Mind blown. Thank you so very much. I think it's so important to ask this question simply because whenever even I have heard about the European Union, it has always been in the sense and the space of being a funding partner, someone who is really helping with the sustainability, the development, the training, the skills capacity, all of that. I thought what was really nice for a lot of us to know, especially small businesses and our pitchers, is to understand how you are also a source of input and supply, and how you are also an export destination, which I think is something our minister always speaks about, that our business entrepreneurs need to think bigger, dream bigger, and explore markets that we don't always think of. So I want to thank you for continuing to be a partner who buys into the vision that the Caribbean has for itself. Thank you so very much. I'd like to also acknowledge our media partners, without whom none of this would have been possible. We saw the ads, they were digital, they were print, they were radio, they were TV, the RGR Gleaner Communications Group, Mellow FM, the Jamaica Observer, Nationwide 90 FM. Thank you for your support of SIF 2025. I'd also like to acknowledge our platinum sponsors, Republic Bank, IDB, and DBJ, without whom none of this would be possible. A shout out especially to the Republic Bank that has been a platinum partner since 2022, which was the year that SIF was born. It was the very first year. And what is particularly interesting is that sponsors tend to support, especially in the markets that you will find them. And yet the Republic Bank is not here in Jamaica, but they still said, we will be your platinum sponsor. And for that, we say thank you, the Republic Bank. And I ask you to kindly turn your attention to the screen.
It takes care and nurturing to help something grow. It takes dedication to make sure that it grows well. At Republic, we understand this because we've put care, nurturing, and dedication in being the best that we can be for you, because we're invested in you.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Thank you again, Republic Bank, for being our platinum sponsor. We now invite the Assistant Secretary General Acting, Economic Integration, Innovation and Development, Dr. Wendell Samuel, to kindly bring his greetings on behalf of the CARICOM Secretariat. Please make him welcome.
Good evening, all. Please allow me to adopt the protocols that have already been established. But let me recognize the Honorable Minister Feval Williams, Minister of Finance and Public Service in Jamaica. Honorable Senator Owen Williams, the Minister of Industry and Investment and Commerce, Your Excellency Eha Ascola, Head of the European Delegation here in Jamaica, but also responsible with Bahamas and Belize. And the Right Honorable Minister Denzel Douglas, let me recognize you, and my newest friend, Minister Halkitis. I bring you greetings from the Secretary General of CARICOM Secretariat, Her Excellency Carla Barnett, who is unable to be with us here tonight. The Secretary General welcomes the 4th edition of the Caribbean Investment Forum being held here in beautiful Montego Bay, Jamaica, and sends her best wishes for a successful 3 days of deliberations. Over the last few years, by bringing investors and proposers of bankable projects together, this forum, under the leadership of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, has been an important catalyst in mobilizing investments for the region in a variety of sectors. We look forward to its continued success in raising the profile and the visibility of the region as of investors on the global stage. Regional investment promotion has been even more important in the face of what could be seen as a global retreat from a rules-based trade and investment system. The unprecedented change that has created such global uncertainty caused by the sudden changes threaten to slow the global growth, as well as nations look inwards to generate their own growth dynamic. We are happy that the European Union has given a promise that they are not going to go in that direction. Thank you. The Caribbean has historically been the slowest region to recover from external shocks. The frequency of such shocks over the last 3 decades has left the Caribbean as a region experiencing low growth and high debt. These shocks, coupled with secular decline in total factor productivity, has resulted in a trend decline in real economic growth over the last 3 decades. Investment and innovation are needed to reverse the secular decline in productivity, increase competitiveness, and reignite growth. The focus of this year's forum on smart, green, and connected is both timely and ambitious. Some of the key investment sectors include sustainable agriculture, strengthening food security, and agribusiness innovation, which dovetails very nicely with the 25 by 2025 plus 5 initiative, which aims to reduce the food import bill by 25% by 2025, which has now been extended to 2030. Other important sub-themes include the green economy transition, advancing new renewable energy, climate resilience, and sustainable and digital transformation, as well as transport and logistics. While individual Caribbean countries have national investment promotion and innovation fostering programs, national industrial strategy could help make the region's investment climate more attractive. Globally, the world is witnessing a resurgence of industrial policy to help catalyze investment and growth. The new industrial policy frameworks are more market-oriented and emphasize goals beyond the usual employment and growth. These include goals such as the transition to renewable energy, net zero emissions, climate change, and national security. The CARICOM Secretariat, with assistance from the CARICOM Development Fund and Caribbean Export, is far advanced with work on developing a new CARICOM industrial policy and strategy, in line with Articles 51 and 52 of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. When implemented, the CIPs would would provide a regional framework for investment, innovation, and industrial production. The elaboration of the industrial policy is based on an ecosystem approach to industrial development. 12 industrial ecosystems have been identified, which encompass both the production of goods and services. The CIPS also identifies 5 cross-cutting enablers: financing, competition policy, intellectual property, standards, and environmental stewardship. All seem to dovetail with the themes of this edition of CIP. A simple institutional framework for the implementation of the CIPS, utilizing already existing mechanisms, is proposed to avoid the unnecessary duplication of institutions. With the implementation of the CIPS, we hope to improve the investment climate and make the task of mobilizing investment easier. We hope to make your job easier, sir. The revised Treaty of Chaguaramas actually envisages the implementation of such a policy. Let's go back. The revised Treaty of Chaguaramas actually envisages the implementation of such a policy will include the establishment and maintenance of an investment-friendly environment, including facilitative administrative processes. With a level playing field, we hope to make scoring wins easier without the need for picking winners. We look forward to the usual high standards of discussion over the next 2 days. We hope that the insightful presentations and investment projects matched with sponsors would help to lift investment prospects for the region, raise productivity, and reverse the secular decline in growth. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Wendell. Thank you very, very much for your presentation. I want to assure you, I believe, that Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill is still Hill and not Williams. Yes, so just making sure. I mean, I've heard all of the remarks, and I just want to reassure us, or just remind and reinforce, that we're here to speak about productivity, but it mustn't be lost upon us the flavor that we have. The fact that whatever we do and however we do it, the world demands it. We just need to figure out how to capitalize on it, yeah? Anybody here from Bahamas? Did you bring conch salad? No. Anybody here from Trinidad and Tobago? Where the polori, the doubles, the chow? No. Anybody here from St. Kitts? You're afraid to say you're from St. Kitts, don't it? With your coconut dumpling and your saltfish. Anybody here from Guyana? If you're here from Guyana, please stand. Guyana, please stand. I see somebody jumping in the back. Don't be afraid, Guyana, stand. I see some people looking around like they don't really know what Terry is gonna do. Are all the people who are standing Guyanese? I want everybody in this room to mark their faces. Mark their faces, because everybody who is standing here from Guyana is gonna give, like this gentleman is gonna give this side oil, that lady's gonna, so oil for you, oil for you. Don't sit yet, mark their faces. They're going to be our investors over the next 2 days. Please be seated. Thanks, Guyana. But what I'm trying to say is that we're here, huh? Oh, you're giving us oil too? I guess what I'm trying to say is that all of us have our thing. All of us. And even though many of us take pride in traveling to what we call big foreign, I absolutely love visiting the islands. I love visiting the Caribbean. And I love understanding what makes us very similar. And I love finding what makes us different. Because there's nothing, there's no market that can produce what we produce the way we produce it, because it's just us, it's just our thing. And so even though we're going to be meeting and collaborating and we're talking business and regional promotions, let us not sterilize who we are and what our identities are. And speak, oh yeah man, absolutely, 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 absolutely. And speaking of identity, we couldn't possibly have you come to Jamaica and not share a piece of her. Kindly turn your attention to the screens.
You know Jamaica? Let's talk about Jamaica. Let's talk business. Let's talk opportunity, manpower, and stability. Let's talk infrastructure and location. Let's talk about manufacturing, agriculture, energy, logistics, business process outsourcing, and tourism. Let's talk about your business. Let's talk vision and growth. Let's talk success. Now you know Jamaica. Enough talk. Let's do business. Do business, Jamaica.
All right, let's do business. And if there's anybody who speaks about let's do business, it is the man I'm about to introduce. He's a man who goes on any platform, anywhere in the world, and he carries the Caribbean and, of course, Jamaica based on the portfolio he represents. He believes that we are big deals, and he believes that the world deserves to know and recognize that we are big deals. He believes that we can't just export to each other, we can't just trade with each other, but we also need to make sure that we are getting access to other markets to strengthen our economic situation. He's a man who will always say that nowhere better than Yard. He is the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, or the Ministry of Business. And everywhere he goes, he says the Caribbean is open for business. Jamaica is open for business. So let us start talking. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Senator, the Honorable Orbin Hill, our Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
It must be Shulette who pays her. I didn't. But boy, she does a great job. Give her a round of applause, please, Terry Carell. And, you know, we have a very extended protocol list. I'm going to clearly, with pleasure, recognize my colleague minister, the Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, representing today Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, who couldn't be here with us, my other cabinet colleague, my other political colleague, for sure, the Honorable Xavier Main, the Minister of State and the Minister of Finance and Public Service. We have, I think, a former Prime Minister with us. I have to recognize him. Dr. Denzel Douglas, welcome, sir. Good to see you, carrying the Foreign Ministry a flag this time and he's the Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Trade. In other words, he's Prime Minister. He was Prime Minister and can still do all of those things. Half of the cabinet work he does, he's from St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Douglas, good to see you. Senator the Honorable Michael Halkitis from the Bahamas, Ministry of Economic Affairs. Very good to see you, sir, and have you here in Jamaica. Her Excellency, Urja Ascola, she is just the most amazingly easy ambassador to deal with. She's gracious, she's courteous, and she is just wonderful. You heard her talk about trade and supplies and what she can offer Jamaica from the European Union. But I'm here to tell you as well that the European Union is the largest donor, funder for Jamaica. And they've been doing that for many, many years. And thank you very much. I always add that certainly as a minister, I fully recognize that European taxpayers they're great benefactors, and we certainly want to make sure we spend their money well. I see, boy, CAF is really represented here. Stacy and your team, good to see you from the Caribbean and Latin America Development Bank. But of course, that's not to take away from our main sponsor. You know what you have to do next year. So I'm lining it up for you, Dr. Sinanan, for next year. There she is. So we're very happy to have Her Excellency here with us from the European Union, and have been such great friends and sponsor, co-partner in this deal. Very, very happy to have you. Other members of the Diplomatic Corps, pleased that you're here. My own Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Sanse Bennett-Templer. Thanks for visiting us, ma'am. I know how much work you have to do, especially at this time. Dr. Wendell Samuel, who we've heard from. Good to have you here, sir, representing Dr. Carla Barnett, the Secretary General of CARICOM. Mr. Dami Sinanan. He came over here, talked to Shulette, bamboozled her into getting her to sponsor this thing. He didn't really. CIF is such a good forum for all of us in the Caribbean that I'm very happy to be here, to be with you and to have it done in Jamaica. And my ministry we were very, very happy to participate in having it here. We're happy to have the CIF in Jamaica, and please give Dr. Sinanan and his team a round of applause for bringing it here to us. Mrs. Shulette Cox, of course, who runs JAMPRO as the CEO. Mrs. Kelly Dawn Hamilton, who runs the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Jamaica and the wider Caribbean are rapidly evolving into a high-performing investment destination, one that is digitally enabled, climate resilient, globally competitive, and investor responsive. The region, I see the head of IDB here, thank you very much for being with us. Another one of our really, really grand partners for over a long period of time. And yes, give IDB a round of applause. I'm sure the EU won't mind. But yes, the region is smart, green, and connected. I want to stress connected. It's green and smart, we have to be all the time. We don't get into the argument about whether climate change exists or not, because we have beaches, we're small territories, we have beaches that we see move, so we are not going to, some scientists will tell us why, but we don't get involved in that. What I want to get involved in is the connected portion of this and being smart. So as we come together here, this is a chance to be really connected, and I'm hoping that will happen these few days that you're here with us, and you'll be connected to each other, but get connected to Jamaica and the food and the fun and the culture that Prime Minister Holness mentioned in his greeting to you. The transformation requires national efforts and smart regional partnership. As Prime Minister Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness said at the 49th regular meeting of CARICOM heads of government right here, he was standing up over there, it was switched around a little bit. He said, collective action, courage, and conviction are essential for our people to prosper. And prosperity is what we want for all our people. So we must now make sure we get that conviction and courage to do what we have to do in a world that is changing. As Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Jamaica's business ministry, I am pleased to help steer this effort. Our mission is simple: enable high-value investment, drive regional trade and regional growth, and focus on areas on which we can cooperate. So often when you are getting into a relationship or getting into an arrangement, we focus on the things that divide us. For God's sake, leave us alone for the minute. Focus first on what we can cooperate on, so that when we are cooperating, we can then attack the tougher issues that are not so easy. Some of them are delicate. So I really encourage a sense of cooperation in order to be able to deal with the issues that we don't easily cooperate and collaborate on. Jamaica is being engineered to be a most attractive investment destination in the Caribbean. Our seamless investment architecture ensures speed, scale, and sustainability for local and global investors and local entrepreneurs alike. We want every single Caribbean neighbor to join us. We will join you. My business ministry is saying to CARICOM, and I was at the last CARICOM meeting in Guyana, quoted meeting, that we really want to make sure that what we do in Jamaica, as much as is possible, can be replicated elsewhere. What Guyana is doing is exceptional, but there are places we can cooperate on. They have lots of land, lots of water, few people, and they offer the 25 in 25 years, now it's to 30, but the land is not moving. Trinidad has experience, and we all have experiences, some of them not good, that we need to share. And said, don't walk down that road. It does make sense. And some very good ones that we can share. In the last decade or so, we've strengthened, built institutions, and we want to share that. So we want to make sure that, you know, our basis as a region is to invite investors to the region. So let's look at Jamaica. This is the one I know best. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit. Here's why Jamaica is a strong, stable, attractive, strategic place for investment in the Caribbean. Inflation is under control. We have, as a government, made the policy and gave it to the central bank that your range is 4 to 6%. Except for the pandemic, and even after Beryl, they have stayed within that range. But it's not that we gave them a range and say you must do it. We made sure we practice policies that will help them stay in the range. I remember when we were going under the IMF program, the then governor, Brian said, look, I can't stay in a range. Government's policies makes and can keep the country in place. You can't expect the central bank to magically do inflation. Policies must match it. So every time I say we stay in the range, I say watch for good government, and I make no apologies. We have worked like hell to work. And we're going to work like heaven to make it work better. The Jamaican dollar is stable. No currency restrictions. This is an anecdote I'm going to tell you about. In late 2022, I was invited by some of my friends from Dubai. I lived in the Middle East for a long time. They were in the dorm rep and they say, you and Tamara join us. We had a great time. But on day 2, I really realized why they wanted me there. Yes, we were great, great friends. But they said this to me, and it's a combination of Arabs and Indians. all very, very wealthy people. So they have their investments to protect. They said, what do you think about, is the US dollar going to remain the reserve currency? So I just remember the story about Jesus and the denarii, whose money is this, should we pay taxes? I said, I won't answer the question for you. I'm going to let you answer it. I'm going to say, you want to know which is the reserve currency of the world? Make sure you have a terrible crisis. At that time, Ukraine had happened. I said, where does Chinese money go? Where does Russian money go? Where does Saudi money go? Where does sometimes German money goes? I said, is it Frankfurt? They said, no. I name a bunch of other capitals. Of course not. The money goes to New York. In other words, in a crisis, the place that the money goes is the reserve currency. Now, America has the biggest army, they have the biggest economy, naturally, they have all kinds of things. But investors look to put their money not where they can put it, but from where they can take it if they have to take it. That's what makes, and I'm telling you, I've run banks for years around the world. That's what investors look for. So when they look to Jamaica, when they're looking to invest in the Caribbean, they say, Jamaica, we don't have any currency restrictions. Minister of Finance. They love what you do. So they will bring their money to Jamaica because we don't have any of those things that will keep their money in. They will take clean money in, as I always say, take clean money out. And if the money is not clean, we have powerful friends who will tell us that it's not clean. That's how it works. So, over that period of time, the last 10 years, why Jamaica has changed, we have had 10 budgets. Our first budget was last April. It was the 10th, and no new taxes. You don't have to read my lips, that's the truth. Yes, clap the government of Andrew Holness for being able to produce 10 consecutive budgets without any new taxes. In fact, we cut taxes. We cut the income tax, we cut the GCT tax, and of course, we want to go to indirect as much more than direct taxes because everybody has to pay indirect taxes. But Mr. has her things to do. We've cut debt from 1 to 7%, 68.7. You're going to hear these a lot. GDP is growing, even the barrel, the hurricane barrel, and unemployment is at historical low, has been hitting historical lows for the past year. It's now down to 3.3%. In any emerging market economy, that is full employment. That is amazing for Jamaica, which was seen as a basket case 10 years ago. And where's the applause? Let me, you want me to call back Terry Kerr here? Really, it has been quite a place, and we're saying this not because we're particularly special. We do special work, but it can be the Caribbean story. We're here that we're glad that it's being done in Jamaica. It's not outstanding. We want to do whatever we know we share. It's transparent. What we do in the special economic zone, for instance, it's on. We're not hiding it. Our policy is on the Bank of Jamaica website and the Ministry of Finance. Go to my ministry and the 20 agencies, we display everywhere. We want to make sure what we know and what we do, we can share in the Caribbean. Economic facts produced by the discipline of the Andrew Holness administration. And with that discipline, integrity, and good economic management, That is why the IMF, World Bank, Moody's, S&P, Fitch, and the European Parliament, while Mr. Williams was in Europe, praised Jamaica's economic framework. Investors trust, and investors really trust Jamaica, and they are putting their money where their confidence is. Indeed, they are choosing Jamaica. No longer are we a basket case. In fact, everywhere I go, they say, hey, there is the poster for how you turn around an economy, a non-oil economy, in 10 years. That's not usual. So let me tell you just a couple of strategic investment projects. We're talking about, I have to tell you about investments. Tourism is growing. The US, we had Princess Resorts in Hanover, just $500 million, and we'll spend another $450 million in the near future. They put in 1,000 rooms. You'll go into Hanover. The place, it wraps for miles around the beach. And they're going to put in a bunch more, and they put in housing for their workers. Every hotel that's coming into Jamaica, the Prime Minister just announced it again last week, must have housing for their workers, and they must have a pension arrangement. In other words, ordinary Jamaicans must share in the prosperity. Right here in Montego Bay, a set of investors, call themselves Pinnacle, are putting in about $450 million to build a 30-story residential villa for all the rich people from the Caribbean, Latin American and Caribbean Investment Bank, who will be the sponsors for next year's conference. Manufacturing and food processing, Wisynco, one of our biggest companies here, just put in 11.3 billion Jamaican dollars over 2 years to expand their business. They're expanding their business and they're expanding their exports. Warms my heart, because that's where we're going to change our per capita income by exporting and getting hard currencies to build our country. Price Smart, you know that name. They're putting in $60 million to put 2 more stores here and a regional, I expect in due course, distribution center. Harmony Cove Integrated Tourism Development. One of the newest ones. Minister Williams just carried the large-scale projects and pioneering investment acts through Parliament. I was privileged to lead it through the Senate, whereby we say, if you put in $1 billion in investment, these are the benefits you get. Well, Harmony Cove had been at this for a long time, and last week, Prime Minister Honus cut the ribbon for the 2,300-acre resort project they're putting in Trelawney. Just fantastic. Another big company came in recently and bought out another Jamaican operation for $1 billion. So we don't have the bully pulpit that President Trump has. And when he says 1 billion, a guy from Dubai says, here are 20. We're not there yet, but we're taking the one-on-ones, and we want to keep adding to them so that our economy keeps growing, and we want that to be shared in the Caribbean, how we do that. And we have a stock market. You can invest in what is happening in Jamaica. And in fact, Harmony Cove said that right after they get the whole operational, let's say 2 years, they will put a portion of their shares on the stock market so ordinary Jamaicans can buy that investment. So that's what we're looking at for the Caribbean as well. CMA CGM just put in $80 million in expanding our port. Our port is bursting. The demand is high. You might not know this, but we have a draft in Kingston Port of 14.5 meters. Many ships that go into the United States, the ports are 9-10, have draft of 9-10, so they unload in Kingston. Kingston is bursting, so we're adding another 15.5 acres of land under the investment MA CGM. I'm going to give you what you might think is a mundane example. Last Saturday, Prime Minister and I, with Minister Green, who is the MP for the Air, and the Minister of Agriculture, were in Black River to open the 42nd KFC store in Jamaica. They spent 355 million Jamaican dollars to do it. That brought them up to $15 billion investment in Jamaica. Now, you think KFC is just chicken. Well, let me tell you what it is as well. It's an export product. If any Jamaican of any standing ever goes to New York or Miami and do not take a bucket of KFC, they will not get a visa. The Jamaicans over there will have arranged for them not to get a visa. You have to take KFC chicken because of the way the seasonings are, and it's just, I'm just happy. I want Staten to begin to record it as an export product. But really, I tell you that as the range of investment. $1 billion, 305 million, 42nd store, and it's growing. But I'm going to with Montego Bay, with this list, could go on as Ambassador Ursula said. Montego Bay, we wanted to make, the traffic in Montego Bay is difficult. We want to make a perimeter road. We didn't go to neither the IDB, who is Jamaica's biggest lender, not some commercial bank from Jamaica or elsewhere, the IDB. CAF is looking at us. We didn't go to any of those institutions. We used our own money, $275 million US to build the perimeter road in Montego Bay. It's almost done. So it's not just foreign investors. The government believes in it. Foreign investors believe in it. Wisynco believe in it. People who run KFC here believe in it. And Jamaica is an attractive destination. And we want to share that in the connected part and the smart part. And quite frankly, the green part as well of our theme this evening. So it's a good story that we have. I think, funnily enough, something that is bothering many heads brings with it some great opportunities. We've been talking about getting closer and cooperating better. Well, maybe tariffs might just force us to do that. To help us, many of us, Jamaica certainly is at the 10% lowest level tariff range. We know people from elsewhere, Asia and Middle East and Africa, are looking to invest in Jamaica, some Europeans as well. Because if you set up a Jamaican company here and it's thoroughly Jamaican, you have access to a market that you can get your tariffs in the way we do. Clearly must be Jamaican, and that then means we invite Jamaican partners, Caribbean partners in. So that might pull us closer together quicker than anything else. And I'm of the view, clearly now I'm from the business sector, I'm of the view that cooperation, whether it's European or otherwise, get to happen when business people do business. It always happens. Very rarely does a great cooperation between countries happen because of politicians. They come in and make sure it is properly recorded and we agreed with and so on. But long time before the politicians get here, people have been trading. And that trade builds it, and I believe we're at that stage in the Caribbean, and we want to make sure that this conference here, with our Smart, Green, Connected theme, will help us as neighbors to be better and closer connected than we have been. So why are we doing this? To build our physical and digital infrastructure. If you look at our road system and you were here 3 or 4 years ago, you won't recognize it now. Our digital infrastructure You saw the ad there where the EU, again, you gave us 9.5 million euros, 1.5 million of that, which is about 280 million Jamaican dollars, has gone straight to my ministry to make sure we train 2,700 MSME businesses, not MSME people, MSME businesses. And so we're down the road with about 900 already. And so we're really making sure that we're building our infrastructure, both physical and digital. Create jobs, well-paying jobs. That's why we're doing this. We want to make sure that the 125,000 US dollar that is Bermuda's per capita GDP, which is built on service. And a lot of them are Jamaicans, lawyers and accountants. We have now, I'm just creating, through cabinet, the ecosystem, the legal ecosystem to bring them back here to do segregated accounts, partnerships, and trusts. Minister Williams has just changed the trust laws to make it easier to do that. So because we're going to grow all over the place in logistics, services, some manufacturing, of course. We are growing because we want this to be significantly and sustainable for exports and foreign exchange income. That's what we have to do to make our country richer. Produce sustained economic growth. That's what we're doing it. Not a skip one quarter and maybe the next quarter. Sustained over a long period of time. That's how you get rich. Ask Warren Buffett. This Jamaican story and the Caribbean's is the Caribbean's opportunity, amplified by regional cooperation, shared logistics, harmonized markets, and coordinated trade policy under CARICOM's People Partnership Prosperity Framework, which is what the theme was in the last meeting that they had, will fit smartly into smart, green, and connected. When you invest in Jamaica, you invest in the Caribbean. As when you invest in Trinidad, we hope that you invest in Jamaica as well, because many Trinidadian companies are listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Jamaican investors can buy into those companies. So together, we will build a region that exports more, earns more, and connects more people to opportunity and prosperity. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're in an election here in Jamaica. We're proudly celebrating our political independence. There was a time in the 80s when it would be, they would call it war. Now, the election office of Jamaica is seen around the world an example of what can be used as to how you run an election properly. And my heavens, we're there and we're looking forward, but it needs more than that. That political independence must be bolstered by a robust and sustained economic independence. It's economic independence that we're looking for, to make sure our political independence can last. And it's we Jamaicans who must do it. Yes, our friends help us, but we have to do it. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, join the Andrew Holness administration on this very noble journey which we're on. Let's choose the Caribbean. One team, one group. And ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to choose Jamaica. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Minister, always reminding us how good governance, stable political climates, ease of business, support services are always going to make your country or your territory attractive to investments. We just have one more speaker on our program who is our keynote. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce someone who's just going to inject the room with what he does, energy. In 2013, he walked away as the winner of a talent competition that was only won by singers. The thing is, he plays an instrument. And since then, he has been traveling the world and he has played for some of the largest audiences, earning him a Grammy nomination after featuring on Buju Banton's album. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the man with the swag, and you'll see why I say that, Orlando Small.
1, 2. Perfect. So, greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. Thank you. Hi, Terry. So when I accepted the invitation to play at this event, I was told there were going to be quite a few singers and players of instruments. So I'm going to do the last part again, and I want to hear the altos, the tenors, and the sopranos. We all have our parts? Yes? Let's try.
Could we get another round of applause for Orlando Small? Now, he took it easy on you guys. Normally, you know, he holds the notes and he proves to us that he has like 2,000 lungs. Such a nice guy. Who are the altos? Do we even know the difference between the altos? I have no idea. And I say to myself, why are you talking it and not singing it? And I say to myself, I am grateful that we're here selling products and services that do not include, I never say so, it's Uno say so. Thank you so very much for Orlando Small. I thank you so very much for your patience. We have one more speaker and then we are going to throw it over to the party that is going to be taken care of by Jampro. I know they're outside, the food is outside, everything is waiting for us. So no pressure to the speaker who stands between our attendees and the Jampro welcome reception. But this speaker is multifaceted, multidisciplinary, and dynamic. And the reason why I say that is because she has managed to handle 3 different portfolios along her career. Minister, of course, Finance and Public Service now, but she has served as Minister of Finance in the past, Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Minister of Education, Youth and Information. So we understand the wealth of knowledge and expertise that she has. Our keynote speaker for this evening, with her keynote address entitled Investing in the Future, a Vision for Caribbean Growth and Competitiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, let us invite the Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Finance and Public Service, to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. What a wonderful world. Do you agree? I hope so. Let me acknowledge colleague Minister, Senator the Honorable Orvin Hill, Minister of Business, I learned this afternoon. Let me acknowledge as well former Prime Minister and currently in the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, the man who has 7 ministries: Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Trade, Industry, Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Economic Development and Investment. I count 7, St. Kitts and Nevis. Let's give him a round of applause for all that work. Senator, the Honorable Michael Halkitis, Minister of Economic Affairs of the Bahamas, my own Minister of State, the Honorable Xavier Main, Her Excellency Urza Ascola, Head of Delegation, European Union, Delegation to Jamaica, Belize, and Bahamas. And Ambassador, we heard your message on the zero tariffs, you said, right? Big zero. And on the access to markets. Over 400 million in terms of the population size. And I know Minister Hill heard that message as well and will be encouraging, cajoling, taking businesses to the European zone. Thank you so much, Ambassador. Mrs. Sancia Bennett-Templar, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Titans of business from across the region. Let me see you. Raise your hands. Come on, there must be. Yes. Dr. Wendell Samuel, Senior Economic Advisor and Acting Assistant Secretary General, Economic Integration, Innovation and Development, representing Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General, CARICOM Secretariat. Members of the Board of Directors of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, heads of private sector companies, Dr. Dami Sinanan, Executive Director, Caribbean Export Development Agency, and Mrs. Shalette Cox, President, Jamaica Promotion Corporation, otherwise known as JAMPRO. Other government officials, development partners, sponsors, other specially invited guests, staff of Caribbean Export Development Agency, members of the media, and I want to especially thank you for the role that you play in our democracy. It is better for your work. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon again. It is my honor to address you this evening on behalf of my Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, who, as you heard earlier on, due to pressing national matters, regrettably could not be here in person, but I carry his warmest regards and unreserved commitment to the mission and message of this forum. We are proud to welcome all of you to Montego Bay, Jamaica's second city, or tourism capital, and increasingly a center of global commerce. It is entirely fitting that we convene here for the fourth staging of the Caribbean Investment Forum, or region's flagship platform for bold ideas, strategic alliances, and high-impact investments. Let me thank the Caribbean Export Development Agency, JAMPRO, the European Union, and the CARICOM Secretariat for convening this important event and for their leadership in positioning the Caribbean not just as a destination, but as a dynamic and competitive investment zone. So this year's theme, Investing in the Future, a vision for Caribbean growth and competitiveness. It challenges us to move beyond rhetoric and towards measurable, sustainable impact. We must invest, not just financially, but strategically, in the enablers of our long-term transformation. And speakers before me would have said it. It's worth repeating: in green infrastructure, in digital connectivity, in integrated logistics systems, in climate-smart agriculture, and in the most important asset of all, our people. So let me take a moment to share how we in Jamaica are translating this vision into reality, anchored by one of the most credible and comprehensive reform agendas in the region. We call it a decade of discipline, Jamaica's economic reform story. So over the past decade, Jamaica has undertaken one of the most far-reaching and credible reform programs in the region, earning global recognition and regaining the confidence of markets, multilateral partners, and our own citizens. We have reduced our debt to GDP ratio from over 140% in 2013 to under 70% today. In fact, we ended our last fiscal year at 68.7%. Our sovereign credit rating is now just 3 grades away from investment grade. And we're going to put forward our plan to get to investment grade. We have created hundreds of thousands of new jobs. In fact, some 250,000 new jobs. And the unemployment rate, you know, I thought when we got to 3.7%, I thought, no, we couldn't possibly go any lower. Well, in the last reading of it, you know, the last publication of the unemployment rate, that now stands at 3.3%. Yes, you can give us a round of applause for that. It is the lowest in our recorded history. And when I looked in the numbers, you know that the labor force is made up of the employed labor force and those who are looking for jobs. And if you don't fall in those two categories, you're considered outside of the labor force. And in the last reading of the unemployment rate at 3.3%, we saw where over 12,000 persons who had considered themselves to be outside of the labor force because they were not looking for work, they were not employed, they have joined the labor force. And that says something about the path that we are on and the number of jobs that we are creating. We've gone consecutive years, 9, 10 years without imposing any new taxes, proof that growth and discipline can go hand in hand. Inflation is under control and within the 4 to 6% target band. And recently, the latest reading is 3.8% in June, down from 5.2% in May. It is the policy of the government for inflation to remain in the 4 to 6% target band. Our implementer is the Bank of Jamaica in terms of managing that band. We have a freely floating market-determined exchange rate. When investors bring US dollars to invest in Jamaica, they don't have to worry about finding foreign exchange to pay suppliers or to pay dividends. And we have achieved all this while delivering the longest period of sustained economic growth in Jamaica's history, with 20 consecutive quarters before the pandemic and another 13 consecutive quarters post-COVID, briefly interrupted only by the impact of Hurricane Beryl. And that was not just any ordinary hurricane, it was category 4 or 5, huge, and Tropical Storm Rafael. Already in 2025, we are back on the path of positive GDP growth. Jamaica is also more resilient than ever before. In the past, a significant exogenous shock would knock us off track for years. Now we take a hit for a quarter or two and quickly rebound, and we give a lot of credit to the National Natural Disaster Risk Financing Policy that this government developed. It's a policy that was implemented that gives us access to almost immediate funding in the event of disasters. We have a proven track record, a proven process of how we access that financing. I remember in the early days of being in government, being a part of a delegation to the United States and to be a member with other countries talking about how we deal with disasters, natural disasters in the Caribbean. And at that time, we spoke to how much funding, how much we can ask of the other countries to help us, kind of a hat-in-hand situation. But here we are now. We have worked with our international partners to help us to write the policy, but just to move from a policy on paper to actually being implemented, having facilities ready, whether it's insurance or financial instruments, ready in the event of a disaster that our budget would not allow us to manage right away. We have made the provision. And we saw the manifestation of that last year as we went through Hurricane Beryl. It damaged many, many of our schools. And remember, Hurricane Beryl happened in the first week or so in July. And so we were looking at September, the first Monday in September for school to start. But when you look at the devastation across the nation of our many schools, I know many Jamaicans did not believe that we would be able to begin school on the first Monday, as our law dictates, in September for school. But because we had our National Natural Disaster Risk Financing Policy in place, and we were able to call on the funding that was negotiated and preset, our schools opened seamlessly. It appeared a hurricane never happened. We were able to deploy contractors all over Jamaica to get our schools back up, to get the infrastructure back up in time for schools to open. That is the power of good policy. That is the power of execution of good policies. So, ladies and gentlemen, in talking about all these improvements in our macroeconomic variables, we always have to consider how are these improvements translating into impacting the lives of our people, particularly our most vulnerable. This is the ultimate test, and this is actually the statistics of which, as a government, we are most proud. Jamaica has now achieved a historic low rate of poverty at 8.2%. And to give you a comparison, this is down from 16.7% in 2021 to, well, this figure of 8.2% was the latest information published for 2023. So we went from 16.7% in 2021 to the rate of poverty now at 8.2%. This is the lowest lowest poverty rate since measurement began in 1989. This marks a major milestone in our ongoing efforts to improve the quality of lives for all Jamaicans. And if you take a look at what caused this to happen in terms of the reduction in poverty, increases in the minimum wage, and job creation, over 250,000 jobs created. Our economy is now fiscally sound, investor-friendly, and more resilient. Macroeconomic stability, we know, is a necessary step, but it is not the destination. In our journey towards achieving economic independence and improving the lives for our people, in order to achieve our developmental objectives, we have to accelerate GDP growth from 1 to 2% to getting up to 4, 5, 6%. We in Jamaica believe that this is not simply a time for adaptation, it is a time for ambition. And ambition must be matched by a framework that is disciplined, data-driven, and future-focused. That is the ethos behind Jamaica's new growth strategy, which we call Aspire. Aspire speaks to access to opportunity. This must be the foundation of any growth model that is truly transformational. We must ensure that growth is broad-based and inclusive, reaching every community and every citizen. We're strengthening social protection, improving access to credit for MSMEs, reforming pension systems for informal workers, and supporting entrepreneurship across sectors, from agriculture to animation. Our financial inclusion strategy and the rollout of a national digital ID are helping to ensure that no Jamaican is left behind in the digital economy. This is the kind of growth we all aspire to, growth that is not just top-down, but bottom-up and community-driven. Aspire speaks as well to safety and security. There can be no prosperity without safety and security. Since 2016, we have implemented the most comprehensive overhaul of national security policy in our modern history, expanding the police and military, modernizing equipment, introducing technology-driven intelligence tools, and targeting organized criminal networks through legislative reforms and zones of special operations. The result has been a precipitous decline in violent crime and a corresponding increase in investor and community confidence. Yes, thank you very much. A secure environment is a precondition, we believe, for private investment, and we are determined to make Jamaica a safe place to live, work, raise families, and do business. We also recognize that regional security cooperation must remain a top priority, especially in the face of transnational threats that know no borders. Ladies and gentlemen, Aspire also speaks to people, or human capital development, our greatest national and regional asset. Jamaica is investing in its people, from early childhood to lifelong learning. We are expanding STEM education, vocational training, and digital literacy. We're partnering with industry to align skills training with market demand in clean energy, software development, logistics, tourism, and agri-tech. We're bridging the digital divide, scaling online learning, and creating pathways from education to employment. Because if the Caribbean is to lead in tomorrow's economy, our people must be equipped not just to participate, but to innovate. Aspire speaks as well to infrastructure development, the backbone of competitiveness. Jamaica is executing a robust capital investment program focused on resilient transport, energy, water, housing, and digital infrastructure. We are expanding the Kingston Container Terminal through the Westlands project, which will increase container storage capacity on our ports by 25%. And just this morning in Kingston, we broke ground on our flagship logistic project, the Caymanas Special Economic Zone, a 700-acre modern logistics park in the vicinity of the port. We're modernizing our airports. We're building new highways and rolling out a national fiber optic broadband backbone. One of our urgent priorities ahead of us is reducing energy costs. If you compare us on a per kilowatt hour basis with other countries in the world, we have one of the highest. The current electricity license, which was negotiated under the previous opposition administration, expires in July of 2027. We're using this opportunity to implement bold reform and negotiate a new fit-for-purpose framework and license that delivers lower electricity costs, greater energy security through accelerated adoption of renewables, improved customer service, and stronger accountability. Infrastructure is no longer just about roads and ports. It is about resilience, connectivity, and readiness to compete in a digitized, decarbonizing global economy. Aspire is also about the reform of the bureaucracy, about the ease, speed, and cost of doing business. We're deeply aware that red tape stifles investment and growth. Through e-government reforms, we're making it faster and more transparent to start, operate, and grow a business in Jamaica. We're digitizing permitting, streamlining customs, and reforming public procurement. Our digital public infrastructure program will enable real-time data sharing across agencies, lower transaction costs, and reduce corruption. And we urge our regional partners to continue modernizing regulatory frameworks, continue harmonizing standards, and continue to remove barriers to cross-border investment. Aspire is also about economic diversification and new industries. We must embrace diversification. Jamaica is advancing new and emerging industries, from medical tourism and logistics to digital services, agribusiness, and creative industries. We're also expanding our special economic zone framework to attract high-value investment in sectors such as healthcare, renewable energy, and advanced manufacturing. The Caribbean's future competitiveness lies in developing new comparative advantages and then linking them through stronger regional value chains. To that end, we support the CARICOM single market and economy and welcome the progress made in removing obstacles to the free movement of capital, labor, and services. The Caribbean is not too small to matter. In fact, our strategic location, our young population, and collective market power make us uniquely positioned to punch above our weight. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, this government's call is a call to invest in a Caribbean future. Aspire is not just Jamaica's growth framework, it is a regional blueprint for transformation. We are proving that small states with discipline, vision, and partnership can deliver big results. We have restored macroeconomic credibility, we are improving governance, and we are creating a pipeline of bankable projects in high-growth sectors. But transformation is not the task of governments alone. We need private capital, innovation, and cross-border collaboration. And that is why the Caribbean Investment Forum is so vital. It is a place not just for dialogue, but for deals, real deals. Not just for vision, but for execution. And to every investor here today, I say this: the Caribbean is not simply waiting to be discovered. We are ready to partner with you. We are investing in the future, and we invite you to do the same. So let us move from potential to performance, from ambition to achievement. Let us build a Caribbean that aspires and delivers. Thank you. And I wish you a productive and inspiring Caribbean Investment Forum 2025. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so very much, Minister. I'm going to ask if you could kindly stay so that I could invite. I'm just going to invite the Minister to stay on stage, and I'm going to now invite Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill, Dr. Damie Sinanan, Her Excellency Area Ascola, and Mrs. Shulette Cox. If we could just kindly get this quick photo up, and then we will get ready for the entity JA that will join us, and we will make our way to the courtyard. I'm going to ask our Minister to stand in the center next to the Honorable Favor Williams. I'm going to ask you to move away from the lectern. I'm going to invite the ministers in the center. Are they smiling? And now I'm going to invite the Honorable Michael Halkitis, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Dr. Wendell Samuel, and Permanent Secretary Sancia Bennett Templar, if you could kindly join us. And then I'm going to invite the entity JA. We're going to ask if you could kindly flank. Your Excellency, you remain. We hope everybody says cheese. And as they take the photo up, what time does the conference start tomorrow? What time does the conference start tomorrow? At 9? What time is registration? What time is registration? 8 o'clock? What time are we going to arrive tomorrow morning? I hear 7:30. I hear 10 o'clock. Are you from Jamaica, sir? What time shall we arrive? On time. All right, I love that. Thank you so very much for facilitating. Thank you for your patience, everyone. We welcome you again to SIF 2025. We welcome you over the next 2 days. Tomorrow we will start 9 o'clock bright and early. For those of you who have not yet registered, registration takes place at 8 o'clock. Thank you so very much. Jampro has a fantastic space that is waiting for us in the sunken courtyard of the Montego Bay Convention Center. And shuttles will collect you at your hotels at 8 a.m. to ensure that everyone is here on time. So as we make our way, I'm going to invite the entity JA to take us out because Jampro is going to actually host us at the welcome reception. So entity JA, do your thing. So ladies and gentlemen, the entity JA is going to walk you out, and all you have to do is follow them so that you can get your food, your beverage, have fun, but don't have too much fun. We want to thank Jampro. We're going to hand you over to Debbie Bissoon. Eat, drink, and be merry. Don't have too much fun. I want to see you tomorrow morning, nice and early.